right, we're back. 110. Matgen110. We're looking at chapter 5. And this is 5.5. We're just going to do 5.5, this section by itself. There's a lot of information on this one. So it says to write this expression in descending order. Descending order is determined by the exponents, not by the coefficients, not the numbers in front, but rather the powers. And so we want the biggest power first. So that is negative 10c to the fifth, and then minus c to the third, and then plus 8c squared, and then plus 8. And that's it. That is a polynomial with 4 terms. After 3, monomial first, or one term, binomial 2 terms, trinomial 3 terms. After that, we just say polynomial 4 terms, polynomial 5 terms. So this is a polynomial with 4 terms. The degree is 5. That's the highest power. And if I wanted the leading coefficient on this one, it would be the number in front of the biggest power thing. So that's negative 10. Leading coefficient is negative 10. Degree is 5. All right? Let's look at this one. They want all that same information, but we'll actually write it on the board this time. So look, negative c to the third plus 5c. That's descending order. First, they wanted us to write it in descending order. So there it is. What's the degree? That's a 3rd degree binomial. Because there's only 2 terms. Unlike terms or terms. And then what's the leading coefficient? That is negative 1. It's the thing in front of the highest power thing. All right. Let's do number 4, and then we'll go back and do number 3. I don't like number 3, but we'll do this one first. So look, descending order, 3y squared plus 6y minus 5. That is descending order. This is a 2nd degree trinomial, because there's 3 unlike terms. 1, 2, 3 unlike terms, so a trinomial. Leading coefficient is 3. All right? So now, let's go back and do this one. I don't like this one because the degree is wonky. This is a monomial. It's only got 1 term. Terms are determined by how many things are being added. So look, this has 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Those are all unlike because they have different powers, so you can't combine them with addition or subtraction. That is 2 terms. That is 3 terms. This has only 1 term. It's just by itself, so it's a monomial. The leading coefficient is 7. Neither one of those is a problem. Here's the problem. I don't like these problems in algebra because now they have you determine the degree. Well, the degree, you have multiple variables in the same term, which means this is a special case for degree. Degree means for this one that I'm going to add up those exponents. So I'm going to take 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So this is a 6th degree. Now, the reason I don't like this is because this makes students go back and make mistakes on these, because then all of a sudden they see 5 plus 3 plus 2 and they tell me that this is a 8, 9, 10th degree. It's not. It's a 5. It's the 5th degree. The only reason we do the adding exponent thing is because there's multiple variables in the same term. So that is a special case. So be careful of that. I had to put it in the notes because they have it online. But we don't really utilize that in algebra. All right. So here we go. Why can't we add those? What makes them unlike terms? The powers are different. Powers or exponents are different. And so we can't add them up if the exponents are different. Okay. So that's the first page of 5.5. That's page 9 on your chapter 5 note packet. 110, Matgen110. All right. Let's look at page 10. Okay, so page 10, we have 5a plus 3b plus 3a minus 7b. We have 4x squared plus 8x minus 6 plus negative 6x squared minus x plus 9. We have, oh boy, fractions plenty here. 3/4 c plus 1/5 d minus 3/8 plus 1/4 c plus 2/5 d minus 1/8. And then they have number 9, add these up, 2/3 g cubed plus 1.2 g minus 6. Oh, this is interesting. For number 9, they're doing the vertical addition thing. That makes sense. All right. Oh, and then 10 and 11 are just find the opposites here. We'll squeeze those in. 10 is the opposite of 3r minus 15, and 11 is the opposite of negative 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 6. All right. Oh, we might not be able to see that around his arm, huh? My assistant got in the way a little. I'll rewrite it over there when I do the answer. All right. So let's take a look here. 3a plus 5a. So we can rearrange this. So 5a plus 3a plus 3b minus 7b. And then we combine those two like terms. So we've done this already way back in the first chapter. 8a and negative 4b. So that's nothing new. That's a trip down memory lane. Here's where it's a little newer, because now we have exponents also. So 4x squared minus 6x squared plus 8x minus 1x minus 6 plus 9. So combine like terms. So all I did was I wrote the like terms right next to each other. So it's just easier to see. So negative 2x squared. Power doesn't change when you add or subtract things. Plus 7x plus 3. And that's it. You're done. So what is that? That is a second degree trinomial with a leading coefficient of -2. All right, these are all fractiony, but look, if I look at negative or 3/4 c and 1/4 c, I add those together, that's 4/4 c, or just 1 c. If I take 1/5 d and 2/5 d, that's 3/5 d. And negative 3/8 and negative 1/8 is negative 4/8, which negative 4/8 reduces to negative what? Divided by 4, 1/2. And there's our answer for that one. Here we just add straight down, so there's nothing for the g to the third, so it's 0.23 g to the third. There's nothing for the g squared, so minus 3.4 g squared. 1.2 g, 2.4 g, that's 3.6 g. And negative 6 and negative 2 is negative 8. They want the opposite of 3r minus 15, so it's like you distribute a negative, so negative 3r plus 15. The opposite is 4x cubed minus 3x squared plus 6. All right, that's page 10. Let's take a look at page 11. So page 11 has us subtracting, which is really exactly the same thing that we just did. There's just one extra stage to the problem. We distribute the negative throughout the parentheses that it's in front of. So when we get these problems down, they look like this. 6a squared minus 5 minus 12a plus 5. We got 5x squared y minus negative x squared y plus 2x y plus 3. We got Oh boy. 1/4 g squared plus 2/5 g minus 3/7 minus 3/4 g squared minus 1/5 g minus 2/7. Okay. So here, let's do these problems. These take a little more time. They're a little more tedious. So this, I'm just going to distribute the negative. This stays the same, 6a squared minus 5 minus 12a minus 5. And now we look for like terms. That doesn't have anybody. That doesn't have anybody. Those two can go together. -5 and -5 is -10. So a trinomial, second degree trinomial, leading coefficient is 6. This one, let's see, we distribute a negative to everything, so that becomes plus 1x squared y, that becomes minus 2xy, and that becomes minus 3. And now there's only like terms on the first two. So 5x squared y plus 1x squared y is 6x squared y minus 2xy minus 3. Do not change the powers. You only change powers when you're multiplying or dividing. We're adding or subtracting, so we only change the coefficients, the number in front. All right? This one, let's do the distributive property, but let's write it underneath. We'll do that vertical technique again. So -3/4 g squared plus 1/5 g plus 2/7. And now I add straight down, I get -2/4 g squared plus 3/5 g minus 1/7. And then I could reduce the -2/4 divided by 2, top and bottom. -1/2 g squared plus 3/5 g minus 1/7. All right. Let's continue. We'll look at 15, 16, 17, and 18. So 15 is already set up in a vertical format. But there's a minus on that in parentheses here. And then, 16 is a mess. And 17 isn't bad. Yoinks, that's quite a lengthy problem. Okay, so let's take a look. Here, this one, let's make this negative, put it on that, and make that a plus, because two negatives in a row make a plus. And then forget about that. All right, so now let's combine the like terms. We get a positive and a negative, so we subtract and keep the sign of the one farther from 0. Nothing for that one. Nothing for that one. Those are both positive now, so 5.2. And done. That's it. All right. Let's look at this one. Ugh, what a mess, huh? So let's go vertical on this as best we can. So here, first, distribute this negative on everything. So that's a plus, that's a plus, that's a minus, that's a minus. And then that's a plus. And that's already plus. Okay, so now look. Plus 1w cubed. I'll squeeze in a little plus 4x, or w squared. and then minus 3w, and then minus 8, because that's what I had right there. I'm just lining them up with the ones that they go with. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So w squared, 1w squared minus 7w plus 1. We don't change the signs on that because there's a plus there. So now we add straight down. So we're looking at 13w cubed plus 5w squared minus 7w, because the 3w's cancel, and negative 14 plus 1 is negative 13. And let me double check that. Is what I had, 13w cubed plus 5w squared minus 7w minus 13, yay! All right, then let's do 17 and 18. And then we'll be done with 5.5. Negative 2t squared plus 3t minus 4. And minus t squared minus 4t minus 4. So they want the difference of those two things. So first thing minus the second thing. So now we do the distributive property. So look, we'll have plus 1t squared plus 4t plus 4. And then add straight down, negative t squared plus 7t. And that's it. And then number 18, if the perimeter of a triangle is 3t squared minus 7t, oh, find the missing side. Okay, so this is weird because they gave us the perimeter. Remember, perimeter is adding up all three sides. So if this is the perimeter, then, and they give us two sides, what we're going to do is we're going to take this side, t squared minus 5t plus 6, and we're going to add it to this side, 3t minus 2. We're going to add those two together. So we have t squared minus 5 and plus 3 is minus 2t, and plus 6 and minus 2 is plus 4. And then we're going to take that, though, and subtract it from the perimeter. And that will give us the missing side. So t squared minus 2t plus 4. So now what I'm going to do is distribute the negative. And I'll make that a plus. So then what do we have? 2t squared minus 5t minus 3. So that's a pretty difficult problem. It's very abstract. All right. And that concludes 5.5. The next video will be 5.6.